What's up, guys? This is Joe from Swing This. What we're going to talk about today is a little bit about the differences in breathing during training. A lot of people kind of mess this up, especially going around from kettlebells and more of a functional, say, movement-based training, say lunges with a sandbag rotation or something like that, versus bodybuilding, powerlifting type training. So basically, a lot of people think there's the concentric exhalation for when you're pushing, everything should be blowing out. Basically, that's you're training your breathing to happen in a certain movement. So basically, your body's gonna get used to that, and it's gonna happen all the time. This is what we see a lot when we have people that have been doing bodybuilding and powerlifting type training that want to try kettlebells for either conditioning or overall just movement mechanics, different, or just out of boredom. So what they do is they can't get away from doing the kettlebell swing as a strict exhalation on the concentric hip extension. So basically, when they're swinging the kettlebell up, they're blowing out really, really forcefully. And some of that stuff, that's fine. You have to be able to do it, but that's what we're going to get to. So basically, breathing during training. What's really important is for you to stabilize and keep your back and your spine safe. So the spinal bracing, so we're not going to wear out spinal erectors and stuff. No matter what we're doing, right now I'm talking and exhaling and I'm bracing my spine so Trent doesn't kick me in the stomach like a jerk. But anyway, so we need a couple different things we want to do. We need to have independent breathing and bracing, like movement, like walking. So when you're walking around, are you matching your breathing with your step? Like, I didn't think so. So it doesn't matter. You could be carrying 100 pounds of a pack. Are you still, are you trained yourself to match every exhalation with a concentric, with a step, with a lunge, or anything like that? So we need independent breathing with the bracing of the spine. But now that's for rehab and sports movements, or basically a lot of stuff that happens in life is you're just movements around on different planes, transverse plane, lateral motions. Now here's where we get into what a lot of people are doing. Basically, they're doing abdominal bracing plus a Valsalva maneuver. Now, a Valsalva maneuver is basically using your abdominal wall to brace your spine. While that's engaged, what's going to happen is you're going to breathe in deeply, and that's going to create extra intra-abdominal pressure, which is going to help stabilize the spine as well. Think of it as when people are pushing or wearing a belt, and they push against that belt. That's another whole other thing. But anyway, so you have the abdominal bracing with the Valsalva maneuver. For powerlifting or bodybuilding, what's going to give you is ability to do the max load, okay? So you don't do that all the time. Like I said, powerlifting, that's something you're going to be doing all the time, so there you go. But for a normal person that's into, say, either rehab for back issues or sports movements or day-to-day life, for them always to train by every time creating the Valsalva maneuver, or training your breath to be exhalation on the concentric. So if I push and blow out, what happens is I increase the intra-abdominal pressure, but at the same time I get high levels of stability and high levels of blood pressure, okay? So you can see that when someone's lifting a heavy weight, they get up, their face is all red, they look like they're going to pass out. Like I said, powerlifting is a good example of this. You can see somebody pulling really heavy weight off the ground. They come up, they're almost ready to pass out. Okay, so now here's the difference. When we go over into more movements, and especially kettlebell movements, we're looking for more muscular endurance, okay? Maximal weight, more endurance. So the submaximal weight, we don't need increased blood pressure. So if I'm taking this, like kind of the kettlebell snatch using a Valsalva maneuver, like increasing abdominal pressure, and exhaling up top, and then as I drop the weight down, if I inhale right there every time, especially if I'm going for kettlebell sport, for high repetitions, it's literally like you're blowing up a pool float while somebody's sitting on it. It's pretty tough. So you're creating that high blood pressure, and you're just gonna use up your oxygen really, really fast because it's not matching your movements. Think about like walking up the stairs. So every time I take a step, am I going to brace and exhale and then probably not. So walking up the stairs carrying bags or a pack or something like that, or hiking, that is a prime example of matching your breathing, like basically not matching, I'm sorry, independently breathing while you're bracing your torso. If I have a heavy pack up on my shoulders, it's connects to my hip through my torso. This has to be stable so I'm not hurting my back carrying, 50 pounds of whatever, hiking along a trail that's pretty treacherous. I'm breathing independently of the movements. I have to understand how to keep breathing and bracing at the same time. Thing like bodybuilding, when you're training the breathing to match the motion every time, it's not the best thing for athletics. Because let's say I'm playing football and I'm going out there and I can only pivot, or I can only apply lateral by exhaling when I push each time. It happens so fast you're not going to time it up. So anyway, these are some interesting ways to think about your breathing. Let me show you a couple kettlebell snatch and stuff. So pretend this is a very, very, very heavy weight, okay? So I'm going to, if this is several hundred pounds, I'm going to pick up one time. I'm going to engage the abdominal muscles to stabilize the spine. I'm going to breathe in deeply without losing the bracing effect of the muscles. I'm going to exhale. So there's your Valsalva maneuver. Now, if I'm going to do that 200 times, instead of increasing my blood pressure every time that I do that, this is submaximal weight. It's not very, very heavy. So think about, say, a rack squat. I can do this. It's not that heavy. I'm exhaling. Because it's submaximal weight. I'm matching the breathing with my body. It's anatomical breathing. Blowing out, breathing in. I can engage my glutes incredibly hard. I can keep my abs incredibly hard as I inhale. Thing is, I'm not creating all that pressure by filling up with the oxygen down at the bottom every time. So, kettlebell snatch right here. Get this guy off. Exhale, inhale, exhale. Exhale, inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale, inhale. So there, I can keep that movement going and go for high reps and a long time without really, really increasing that blood pressure, and basically make my breathing work with the movement that I'm doing. It's much more fluid than trying to every time. So give some of that a thought on how your breathing affects your training.